Hi, good evening. My name is Gabriela Sanchez. Today is Saturday, December 12th, 2020. Going to be doing the first part of my lab today, which is salt tolerance and pH testing. So it's a salt tolerance testing experiment. I have gathered all of my materials. I have the candle that's already been lit. I've gathered 2 nutrients with 1% of NaCl and one for S. cerevisiae, the other one for S. epidermidis. The same for the 7% and the 15% nutrient broth. Again, one's for S. cerevisiae and the other one's for the S. epidermidis. I've also collected my active cultures. One is S. cerevisiae and the other one is S. epidermidis. I have my pipettes that have been sitting in alcohol for sterilization purposes. And I've wiped down my area with bleach before I began gathering all of my materials. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab the nutrient broth with 1% NaCl. I'm going to uncap it, and I'm also going to obtain my active culture. Once I've opened it, I'm going to pass it through the flame to sterilize it. And I'm going to, once I've passed it through the flame, I'm going to grab one of my pipettes, shake the excess alcohol from it, and I'm going to pipette 2 drops of my active S. cerevisiae into the culture broth of 1%. So I'm 2 drops, 1, 2, and I'm going to place that in, I'm going to place that down. Now, before I recap the newly inoculated broth, I'm going to pass it through the flame before I recap it. I've done that. I'm ready to recap it, and I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to do the same for the other broths. Again, this is the 7%, and it's labeled S. cerevisiae. And I'm going to, again, sterilize before I inoculate my 7% broth that's labeled as cerevisiae. 1, 2 drops. And before I recap it, I'm going to pass it through the flame and set it aside. Last nutrient broth of 15%. I'm going to uncap it. I'm going to sterilize once again my active culture before I inoculate it with 2 drops. One, 2. And before I recap it, sterilize it and set it aside. Now, once I've inoculated all 3 of those nutrient broths, I'm placing the pipette in bleach solution to disinfect it. Now, this is my active culture. I'm gonna pass it through the flame before I recap it. And set that one aside. Now I'm going to do the same with the S. epidermidis. This is my active culture. I'm going to uncap it, pass the lid through the flame to sterilize it. Now I have my nutrient broth with 1% NaCl. I'm gonna grab my other pipette that's been sitting in alcohol, and I'm gonna again grab 2 drops, pipette it into my broth with 1%. Before I recap this, I'm going to pass it through the flame and recap it and set it aside. I'm going to do the same with the 7%. Sterilize it. I'm going to uncap this. Grab my pipette once more. And this is for the S. epidermidis. 1, 2. And before I recap it, pass it through the flame. Set it aside. Last one with the 15%. Uncap it. Pass this through the flame to sterilize. Grab my pipette again, remove any excess liquid. Pipette, 1, 2 drops. And before I recap this, sterilize it, recap it, and set it aside. I'm now going to recap my active culture, and I'm going to pass it through the flame before I recap it. I'm going to take pictures of my inoculated broths and put it in incubation for 24 hours. The active cultures I will return to the refrigerator in case we need to use them for future experiments. I will wipe down my work area with 10% bleach solution, wash my hands, and return everything to its kit. I will make an additional video with observations of the cultures after 24 hours of incubation. This concludes my first part of the video, and I will post an updated one later. Thanks.